Dear Mr. Chomsky, I hope this letter finds you well. I was listening to you speak on the radio in early June, and you sound in high spirits, which brings my heart comfort. I have always marveled at your bravery, Mr. Chomsky. Admittedly, I have not read any of your work. However, I've listened to many of your lectures, media, documentary appearances, etc., and your perseverance and grace truly put me in awe. It is with visceral gratitude that I write you this letter. It may be of interest to you to know that you and I are connected through one person. Her name is Galina Groza. I am unsure as to her last name when she worked in a clerical position at the MIT Linguistics Department in the early 1960s. Her parents immigrated to San Francisco from Russia. She studied Slavic languages at a local state school. Her after-dinner stories of 1917 have given me nightmares on more than one occasion. Galina is my 7-year-old son's paternal grandmother. The first time I met her, I had flown across the country, my first time west of the Mississippi River, from Michigan to Eugene, Oregon. I had given birth 8 months prior. I was 21 years old. Galina was living in the same house for nearly 40 years. Her entire house was filled with everything that a house can be full of. This woman has enough china to host an impromptu potluck for 100 people, and everyone had the settings provided. In the rest of the living space, outside the kitchen, stand floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. The bedroom door of her youngest son, born in 1975, is still entirely collaged with the stickers of a high school basketball star who dreams of following the Grateful Dead. Galina served me a vegan feast, with a different recipe spread out on a table built for 16 people, sat for 4 adults, filled with bowls no longer than the length of my palm. It must have taken a quarter of an hour to pass the vessels around, most of which consisted of something pickled or brimming with cold pasta. It was Mother's Day, and the sun made a modest, effervescent appearance throughout the afternoon. Finally, once we all had a teaspoon of each dish on our plate, we toasted for another 10 minutes. I was unable to stifle my giggling or blushing. I was so nervous I could not stop laughing. No one had ever gone so far out of their way to make me feel welcome. I practically hyperventilated. Galina's dog was called Nico. He was a young, stout blue heeler who sat on my feet upon a carpeted floor overlapping with Persian rugs. My name is Mindy Jackson. The primary intent of my writing this letter is to seek clarity on something you said, and possibly I misheard you, on the radio recently. If I may paraphrase, I understand you to have said that if people do not vote for the official opponent of the Republican president, the Democrat confirmed by the DNC, it is effectively a vote for Donald Trump. This is a painful, indigestible idea. I have been unable to embrace a two-party political mechanism as anything resembling democracy. I have failed to come up with any choice in 21st century America. American society of which the options are narrowed to this or that. Indeed, life is filled with vibrant colors and shades and shadows and highlights, with dirt stains and rain showers. How can a society or anything else evolve in a black or white existence? Such a situation is a denial of actuality, detrimental to survival, not to mention completely boring and unnatural. I imagine conscientious objection to participating in a blatantly corrupt system is a vote for something else entirely. People, strangers, teachers, family, friends openly harass me for this apparent fantasy. This is hurtful. For some reason, the resolute decision of my serious and active consideration is openly debatable, without solicitation or inquiry or an attitude reflecting such an approach to others' decision to do the opposite. I I respect that resolve they hold because I trust their judgment, even if I disagree on a personal level. I wonder what your thoughts are on an America where 4, 5, 6 different party candidates were permitted to legitimately run for a leader of the free world. Is democracy binary? I wish in a 2-party system, a person could punch the ballot as a conscientious objector. If that were the case, I would immediately register and wait for however long was necessary for my chance at the poll. In an ideal America, a country who has undoubtedly been prepared for a multi-party system in line with many of the other industrial developed countries of the world, would simply have one. Such a reality strikes me as fundamental. Unfortunately, a multi-party platform of elected officials would be revolutionary in modern America. Why? Is it unpatriotic to say I refuse to vote for the lesser of 2 evils? How is that a free society? A fair election? I hope it is not too much for me to ask you to help me understand some or all of my many questions. I often feel like a revolutionary individual who is literally in the weeds. Like not only have I fallen through the cracks of the system, but also the cracks of the activist circles and groups or organizations I have been involved with. In a black and white, too big to fail system, the cracks are large enough to carve out a beautiful and fulfilling and sustainable life, albeit impoverished for generations. The definition of a day is the time it takes for a revolution of a planet on its axis. The day is the atom of time as humans perceive it. And despite its tininess in the span, it is inherently revolutionary. As such, each day is crucial. The quality of atoms determines the substance, how many protons, neutrons, electrons are present. I like to think of myself as a pragmatic person. I work very hard at a grocery store called Sprouts in the vitamin department to achieve simple things that feel so far away, economically speaking. A house big enough to care for multiple generations of family, with a little land for a garden, with walking access to a post office, library, park, coffee shop, grocery store, tavern. Will a vote for Joe Biden or Donald Trump for that matter, propel me towards these goals? I wish Andrew Yang was on the ticket. That is a vote I can say yes to. I like to think of myself as a pragmatic person. I work very hard at a grocery store called Sprouts in the vitamin department to achieve simple things that feel so far away, economically speaking. A house big enough to care for multiple generations of family, with a little land for a garden, with walking access to a post office, library, park, coffee shop, grocery store, tavern. Will a vote for Joe Biden, or Donald Trump for that matter, propel me towards these goals? I wish Andrew Yang was on the ticket. That is a vote I can say yes to. My opinion is that we are in a very special, momentous seizure of our country's history, and merely voting for Joe Biden would be a terrible, wasteful squandering. This is what we have been working and struggling and waiting for, where the movement transcends into true progression, into tangible, applicable revolution. Statues are being torn down. The wall of moms. This is happening in the streets, in our daily routines, and in our hearts and minds. The ballot boxes offer nothing new, nothing progressive, nothing revolutionary. Just a mutant breed of business as usual, i.e. the perpetuation of wealth consolidation. Why are none of the 2 candidates talking about defunding the CIA? In the world I live in, if you really want to kill a beast, you chop off its head. I imagine you are a busy man and probably get a lot of mail. As I close this letter, I have to wonder if you will ever hold it. I sincerely hope you have the chance to consider what I have asked and said. I am completely open to being wrong. I want to learn and grow. Thank you, Mr. Chomsky, if you do read this letter. Regardless, thank you for everything you have done and continue to do for the people of this country and of this world. You are truly a blessing to us all. Take care and struggle. Mindy Jackson, Summer 2020, Kansas City, USA.